Welcome you to our weekly Perk Up Thursday coffee. Normally we hold this event in person, but we are in special times now, so we're glad that you took time out of your day to join us. A few announcements, and then I will introduce you to our speaker. First of all, I noticed a bunch of new names logged in. Thank you for attending. I don't know how you found out about us, but we're glad you're here. If you would like to be part of our mailing list, please shoot me an email. My name is Steve Bors, B-O-R-S. My email is sbors@southeast.edu. Shoot me an email and I will add you to the email list. Or you can visit our website. It's part of the Southeast Community College website. Look for the Entrepreneurship Center tab. You can go to there, and there is a place there to sign up for our email. Also, if you'd like to serve as a coffee speaker, there's also a place on our website that you can click on, fill out a short little form, and you can be a future speaker at Perk Up Thursday Coffee. Upcoming coffees, next week we're privileged to have Brett Stowes with the UNL Weibling Entrepreneurship Clinic. They provide free legal services to small businesses and startups. Brett is a very sharp guy and always does a great job with his presentations. The following week, on the 21st of May, we have Stacy Elridge with Silicon Prairie Cyber, and then Ingrid Kirst on the 28th with Ingrid Kirst Consulting. We are looking for a speaker for June 4th, so keep that in mind if you're so motivated. And then on June 11th, we have Gitsi Loader and Pia Ivano with Inspired Results Consulting out of Omaha as our guests. So tune in the following weeks. We'd love to have you join us. Everybody upon entry into the coffee is on mute for now, but at the end of the presentation, we will unmute everybody to allow you to ask questions. And if you have questions during our speaker's presentation today, don't be afraid to use the chat function and put your questions there, and we'll make sure that Carmen knows about them. With that, I'm happy to introduce our speaker for today. She has a tremendous reputation in the Lincoln area. And when you ask Carmen Schwab what gets her out of bed in the morning, her reply is people. Carmen believes that great potential lies within every person. With decades of experience in the people business, she brings passion and expertise to help drive transformation. She loves what she does, and her energy and enthusiasm is contagious. Please help me welcome Carmen Schwab.
Thank you, Steve, and what a privilege and pleasure to be here with everyone this morning. So the first question to just get us started is, do you ever wonder why that person who in the midst of chaos, in the midst of crazy, can remain calm, cool, and collected? Well, the answer to that question and whom that person is and what they represent is a very high level of emotional intelligence. So again, welcome, and my name is Carmen Schwab, and I'm sharing with you today emotional intelligence, what all strong relationships are built on. I do have a passion for people, and I do believe that within each and every person is great potential. But as I share on this topic today, I bring this topic to you with a lot of passion, but with a lot of experience personally. This is an area that I have leaned into and said, yes, I want to grow. I don't really care for where I am. I want to become better. And I have seen firsthand the transformation that it's made in my life. And so it just gives me all the more energy and all the more excitement to share this with you, because it can be for you what it has been for me. So let's get started.
If you don't mind, one quick second, do you want to turn your camera back on, or was that an intentional choice?
And I apologize. Was that for me?
Yeah, yep.
Oh. I'm sorry, my personal camera, I do have that off.
Yeah, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. So this slide that shows all of these different emojis, and maybe, many of you can know what they all are. They certainly have an emotion attached to them. We use them in social media, we use them in messaging, and they all mean something. I can't personally identify with all of them, maybe a few of them I can, but again, they have an emotion tied to them. And I think about that number of emotions that we can all experience. And I want to just, for this example, speak to a day that we're getting up and we're preparing to go to work, we're preparing to go to the office. And, we maybe wake up late, or, our child asks us something that they need, last minute and we weren't aware of. We have a call from a family member who shares with us some information that is, a little concerning. It's something that we have now a little bit of concern around. We are driving to work and we turn on the radio and we get that piece of news that we just weren't really wanting to hear. We get cut off in traffic, you name it. Think about just the emotions that you can experience in the morning, all before just entering the office, entering that place, a destination for you that morning. And for us to understand and recognize that we can come with this bag of emotions, wherever that first place might be in the day. And to think that we sometimes expect our family members, our team members, those that we're engaging with at that given time, we expect that we can just have them drop that bag of emotions at the door and just enter in, turn that off, and just, basically turn around and go the other direction and not address what's going on. Almost like we have this switch of feeling. We have a light switch that we just turn our feelings on and off, and we can just do it very quickly, and just without question, they can just abruptly go off. Well, we're emotional beings. That's how we were created. That's how we're wired. And so to ask that of anyone, as I kind of share here with this little statement, that, that's kind of like saying, Carmen, during this holiday season, you can't, partake in any sweets for that amount of time. It's just not realistic. But how many times is that what our expectation is? But what we can do is, you being here today, I also want to shout out to you and say, you know what, I give you a lot of praise. I commend you for being here, because you're leaning in and saying, I want to learn about emotional intelligence and how I can personally improve. So you being here today and gaining a few tools for yourself and sharing with others, and as we educate others on how do we best become aware and manage our emotions, will allow us to not just drop those at the door, but allow them to bring them in and process them and be able to come to better understanding of what it is that they're feeling. So we're going to start off with just a fun activity. So I'm going to ask you, if you have a pen and paper, to grab it. And if not, that's okay too. But as we talk about emotional intelligence, taking our emotional temperature throughout the day is a key piece of just knowing where we are. Okay, Carmen, where am I emotionally right now? What are some of the feelings? Why am I feeling it? And processing that through. So I'm going to share some statements with you on the screen here that you're going to see. And when that statement comes up, I want you to note a 0, a 1, or a 2, meaning that statement I had 0 emotion, that statement I had a small emotion, or I had a very high emotion. 0, no, 1, some, and 2, you had a lot of emotion when you read the statement. And then I want you to note, what was your emotion? Was I angry? Was I excited? Was I happy? Was I glad? What was the emotion that you felt? So let's get started. You're driving to an important meeting, focusing and preparing. When you get cut off, that's right, someone just cuts right in front of you and you almost hit them. Rate that, please. And these will stay up here, so just continue, kind of working through those. You go through a drive-through to get the family dinner. When you arrive home, 3 items are missing. Your daughter got engaged. A person has told you that they would email you the information you were expecting that day. 2 days later, you still don't have the information. You go to the grocery store for several items. When you return home, you realize you left a couple of bags at the store. You call the store to confirm they have them. When you get there to pick them up, they were all placed back on the shelves, so you had to reshop. you just got a promotion. So I just want you to rate those again, the 0, 1, 2, and what was your emotion? And what I want to do with this and how I want to drive this home as we enter this conversation around emotional intelligence is for us to realize that anyone, let's take for example, your daughter just got engaged. When I've had the privilege of doing this in the classroom and in person, I facilitate it with a little different of an activity, but still driving this point home and allowing the participants to share where they rated, how they rated, and what their emotion was. And what I found is time and time again that any given scenario can have a variety of level of emotion, and the named emotion can vary. So your daughter just got engaged. Someone may be, yahoo, you know, I'm super excited. My daughter got engaged. Like, this is the man of her dreams. It's going to be great. And then you have someone else whose daughter gets engaged and they're scared and they're nervous and they're concerned because maybe they're too young. Maybe they've had their own personal experiences that lend themselves to think that way. You just got a promotion. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I don't know. I'm in question. Any given scenario can elicit a very different response from two people. And so helping us to understand that when someone is experiencing emotion, and we might think, gosh, they should be really excited about that, and they're not. Why is that? I don't understand. Because that's from their baseline, that's from their understanding. That's what their experiences have led them to that point, to that point, and that's how they make that decision. So understanding that everyone can come into a situation from a totally different perspective, and then we have to be able to meet them there and understand why that is the way that they're feeling and to be able to validate that. So red glass versus clear glass is one of the ways that we look at emotional intelligence as it relates to the temperature and kind of knowing where do we fall. So when you look at the red glass is indicative of somebody who they've got a really intense level of emotion. And when I say this, I want to make clear that it could be a really excited emotion, and it could be a really sad, frustrated, angry emotion. It could be a high or low, but it's intense. And then you have the clear glass, where that person is just in that neutral place. They're clear of mind. They're able to think rationally. They're able to think clearly about a decision, about a conversation, without all those emotions coming into play. So a lot of companies and a lot of homes use the red glass as kind of a code name, if you will, that when someone comes into the office, for example, with those emotions we talked about at the onset, and they're hijacked, and they come into that office environment, and they have the ability, because the team knows it's a conversation they've had, they can come into that space and just put their hand up and say, red glass. And that's all they have to say. A family member can walk through the door and say, red glass, and that's all they have to say. It gives them permission to say, I know I'm feeling something. I've got some really strong emotions going on right now, and I need to get myself in a neutral place. Allowing individuals permission to do that is going to strengthen our relationships. It's going to strengthen our conversations. It's going to show validation. It's going to show respect. It's going to bring forth a positive solution. How many times, and I can say for myself, I still grow in this area. There's never a place of arriving that my husband can come home and I just want to, talk about what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, red glass. I need a moment here. Us trying to have dialogue in that time is not going to bring forth anything that's positive. We can't make decisions in that space. How many of you have made a decision on great emotion? I have. And a lot of those I've regretted because I didn't put any rational thinking into it and really think through what that could look like. So using that as kind of an indicator of where we are in our level of emotion. So this just shows to you and a great reminder for me that we all understand and know how stress impacts us and our health. And here of late, with everything we're going through, we're going to call it what it is. We're in a crisis. We're in a pandemic. We're in unprecedented times. That's concerning, and we have some health concerns to think about from that perspective. Absolutely, I'm not going to deny any of that. It is serious. But on the other side of that, we also have to be very careful as to how we allow situations as though we're in today to impact how we respond. Because when we're anxious, when we're fearful, when we have those, unknowns, it's stress, and that can do a lot of harm to our bodies, as you can see in this visual. So helping, getting from red to clear is important from a lot of perspectives, and health being one of those. So we care for ourselves, we care for our teams, we want them to be equipped and prepared to know how to handle and process through these emotions that they experience. So this, in looking at this slide and asking, what creates that red glass effect? Just to give you a little bit of, kind of inside the brain, we have two brains, and there's sometimes I wish I had a third. Two's maybe not enough. But it gives you a visual to seeing that those sense signals, the experiences that we have, the feelings that we incur, the things that we smell, the things that we see, all of those things enter our spinal cord, through the spinal cord. And then they travel through the limbic system and then on to the rational thinking brain, which is something that we definitely need because, that limbic brain, that emotional brain, as we're going to talk later, is necessary. It is. And also think about, if a child darts out into the street, if that emotion didn't first go to the limbic system and through the amygdala part of our brain and went straight to rational, we would be sitting thinking, what do we do? Should we run out and try and save the child? We'd be processing, right? We wouldn't have that fight or flight in us to just respond and try to save that child. So it's there for a reason, but we have to then understand, how do we feel those emotions, process those emotions, get that emotion to the rational place that we can really identify what's going on. So that is where we can get hijacked, is in the limbic system, in that emotional state. And for every time that we get hijacked, we can lose 4 hours of productivity. 4 hours minimum. When I've shared this in the classroom and with people who've shared experiences, they've said, Carmen, I can be hijacked for a day. Think about any time when you've had a lot of worry, a lot of anger, a lot of concern, a very excited moment too. Again, we're not speaking of anything that's just the negative, but it's all consuming in us. We can't think or be productive in anything else. So all the more reason we need to find and figure out, how do we manage and understand those emotions. So what is emotional intelligence? It's really simple. It's just our ability to recognize and understand the emotions in ourselves and others, and our ability to use this awareness to manage behaviors and relationships. And emotional intelligence is also the strongest driver in personal and professional development. It is a needed and a necessary skill set for anything, for growth, for success, for strong relationships, for all of that. It is necessary. And we also, you can probably see that we've interchanged a little bit EQ, EI. So EQ is simply emotional quotient. So that's the measurement of our emotional intelligence, but you do find that to be interchanging. So I have a first trivia question for you, and write your answer down, put it in the comment. Love to kind of hear what your answers are. What percentage of a person's day do they experience emotions? So just note in the comment or on your paper, what percentage of a person's day do they experience emotions? Okay. 90%. Okay, just another confirming reason that we're gathered together today, right? And we have 400 emotional experiences every day. And of those, 18 are distinct and strong. So yeah, a reason that we need to understand what's going on, how do we process, what do they mean? So the 5 measurements of EQ are noted here on the screen, and I'm just going to be sharing these with you today in a brief way to give you an overview of what they each look like. But it's self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, social regulation, and then motivation that kind of encompasses those 4. and surrounds those four. So anything that we want to grow in, anything that we want to develop in, any way that we want to get to be better and improve, we have to first start with us. We have to look inside of us and say, is this something that we're willing to do before we can then move into that other's place? We first need to start with us. So self-awareness is that conscious state. It's that place of knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, the ability to understand the impact that our emotions have on ourselves and everyone around us. And to know when we're having red glass, clear glass, are we in a good place for thinking and problem solving? Are we not? Being able to just know where am I right now and what might be going on in my emotional state. So looking at how do we increase our self-awareness, one of the key pieces is to just lean in to our emotions, understand the what and the why, and get specific. So what is the emotion that I'm feeling and why am I feeling it? When we process emotions, we can tend to box in emotions and name emotions by the common ones. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm excited, I'm happy, the basics. But what about confused or discouraged or shocked or frazzled or grateful? When we better know the exact emotion that we're feeling, we can better get to a solution. Being confused and being angry are going to have two varying approaches of how we get to the point of self-regulation. So getting specific. Logging your emotions. Have an emotional journal. Who's pushing what, who or what push your buttons? Is it a person that pushes your buttons? Is it an experience? Is it an environment? Is it a task? Is it a meeting? What setting is it? What pushes your buttons? Where do you find yourself getting hijacked? Is it the media? Is it what we're watching? What is triggering those emotions? Is there a pattern in all of that? And are they emotional or functional? I think about the time we're in right now where many of us are finding ourselves working from home. And a functional emotion might be that, gosh, I just feel like I can't get very much done today. I continue to have all of these interruptions by, family or, my spouse or whomever and whatever. And I'm frustrated. Okay, so what can I do about that? And this is a real example of what someone did do. They said, okay, I'm going to go to my children and say, this is what is happening when I'm in here. I need some time of focus. What can we do? And they made a sign. And the kids made the sign. And then they took ownership of the sign. And they don't go in there when mom is working and when that sign is up. They were part of that process. So that's a functional emotion. So what are we feeling and how do we identify what they are so that we can better prepare and set us up for success? So I have a complimentary working from home profile that the link will be placed in the comments, and I encourage you to take that. It's complimentary, it's free. It's a resource that will kind of give you some tips and tools and strategies that are customized to your communication and working style and ways that will help you make that environment for you more effective. So I hope that you will take advantage of that profile. Self-regulation. So this is where we move from we're aware of the emotion to now what are we going to do to process that emotion and be able to respond appropriately and being able to first process that before we react to that given situation. So how do we control or redirect those disruptive impulses? So we need to recognize when we're telling ourselves a story. How many of you have told yourselves a story? I tell myself stories, and my husband and I have an inside, kind of joke like, stop the stories, Carmen. You don't know why you didn't get a response, but how many times is it, oh, that's why they said that. Oh, that was their motive. I know. We don't know. And so when we stop the story, it allows us to really be able to reflect on what's really going on and get to the basis of learning and understanding and to respond appropriately. Keep your values and beliefs front and center. This is so key to regulation. We all, within companies that we work for, companies that you own, you're guided by your values. That's what helps you make your decisions. Same is true in our personal lives. we need to be able personally to know what are our values and what do we stand for. And those personal values and corporate values really need to align. If there's a great disconnect and there's lack then of harmony and really being able to be that same person in both places. So for example, for me, one of my values is relationships. So if that's a value of mine and I'm engaged in a tough situation and I see someone that's, maybe throwing something my way that I don't care for, or I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling whatever, I'm going to respond in a way that represents the value. Now, do I always do that? No, I don't. Do I need to work on it? Yes, I do. I've not arrived again. But when I know what my values are, it helps me understand how I'm going to respond in that given situation. Refrain, reflect, and respond. Just that process of, okay, I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm just going to refrain from saying, refrain from responding. I'm going to reflect, and then I'm going to respond. Take responsibility for personal performance and enlist an accountability partner. If we know that a person or a setting, triggers us and causes us to get hijacked, I might go and say, hey, Susie, when we're in this meeting, this situation can sometimes hijack me and I don't want it to. So when you see me maybe starting to respond, can we have a cue and a signal that you say, cut it off, or whatever our signal is, to let me know to stop? Having an accountability partner, identifying your triggers and allowing other people to come in and come alongside and help us to process and to represent our emotions appropriately. Take a walk, count to 10, do something different, exercise, put in your earbuds with some music, whatever you need to do to just change your focus, shift. Call a friend, not to talk about the situation, but maybe there's someone that can give you some encouragement, or just somebody that can inject some positivity in, or just can have just a good conversation with, but again, not to the subject. Ask yourself, what benefit will X bring? And I think that's probably one of the key pieces of self-regulation. If I say X and I respond with X, what might that response be from the other person? Am I going to move us in a positive direction, or am I going to move us in a negative direction? Asking that question can help us know how to respond appropriately. So here's your second trivia question. What percentage of the population are controlled by their emotions, but not yet skilled at spotting them and using them to their benefit? Drop it in the chat. What percentage would you say, basically, they're controlling them, right? And they're not able to regulate accordingly and appropriately, probably better said. So just drop your answer in the chat, write it on your sheet of paper. What is that percentage? 2/3. So I don't have on the top of my screen how many are here, but I'm just going to throw the number 50 because math is not my subject. So I just used that this morning. Yes, I had to figure that out before I came on. Say there's 50. That would mean that 33 individuals are controlled by their emotions, but they don't know how to respond and self-regulate accordingly. Wow. Another reason that this is such an important topic for all of us to understand better and to dive into for improvement and development. So the question is, who's controlling your emotions? Is it you or the emotion? Control what you can control. For those that I've had the privilege of engaging with in other trainings, that's a big piece that I love to talk about is, controlling what we can control. So few things we can, but the few things we can make the biggest impact. How many times have you said, oh, he makes me so mad, Jeff makes me so angry, and we like name people that we're upset with or whatnot, and it's not the person, it's the behavior that we're more maybe frustrated with. But allowing them to control our emotion is giving them way too much control, and they can't control our emotion. They can influence it, yes. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for our emotion and how we respond. So when you can't control what's happening, challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening. That's where the power is. I love that quote, and it's one that I need to be reminded of on an ongoing basis. So motivation is what you saw in that circle. So that kind of encompasses around all the other 4 measurements, but it really is connected to self-regulation, because we can't be hijacked and motivated at the same time. If we are low in self-regulation, more than likely we're going to be low in motivation. Because motivation, as it speaks to here, is just that, going beyond money and status and a proneness to pursue the goals. It's more about that inward push. It's more about having a purpose focus. It's about having such a strong why that everything we do is somehow connected to that why, that we just have the energy to get things done and no one needs to tell us to do it. Even the dreaded of tasks, we just do it because we know that it needs to get done. Social awareness is empathy. And this is that ability to sense other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. Again, I often use a really green high heel shoe or my green glasses to just communicate, how well are we able or good, how good are we at being able to step into someone's shoe, put on their glasses, see things from their perspective. This is that emotional feeling part of the brain that we need to be able to connect to when we're engaging with people. What's their body language saying? All of a sudden they got reserved. All of a sudden their tone shifted. Wow, now they're sitting back with their arms crossed. Their speed and their tone is really picking up. You know what, John, this might not be the best time for us to meet. I'm feeling that there's some other things that maybe you need to tend to. Now, when could we maybe visit when it's better for you? How can we read people to knowing what they're feeling? That's empathy, being able to step into their shoes and see things from their perspective. How is empathy often perceived by others? Pretty simple. Unfortunately, it's often perceived as weak. And I guess if it's perceived as weak, I'll call myself weak all day long. And I love Simon Sinek's quote, empathy is about being concerned about the human being and not just about their output. So I want to share a quick clip with you, and I'm not sharing the full clip, but I want to share a little bit with you to drive it home.
We do not practice empathy. What does empathy look like? Here's the lack of empathy. This is normal in our business world. You walk into someone's office, someone walks into our office and says, your numbers have been down for the 3rd quarter in a row. You have to pick up your numbers, otherwise I can't guarantee what the future will look like. How inspired do you think that person is to come to work the next day? Here's what empathy looks like. You walk into someone's office, someone walks into your office and says, your numbers are down for the 3rd quarter in a row. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. What's going on? We all have performance issues. Maybe someone's kid is sick. Maybe they're having problems in their marriage. Maybe one of their parents is dying. We don't know what's going on in their lives. And of course it will affect performance at work. Empathy is being concerned about the human being, not just their output. We have...
Wow. It's a powerful clip. What leader would you follow? Would you follow Simon? I would, and I do. But that's what empathy looks like. And so many times it's looked at as weak, when really it's strength. It's the ability to connect with people on a level that's more than just what they do. It's about who they are and wanting to really understand where they're coming from. Social regulation is the 5th measurement that I want to share with you and to address. And really what self-regulation is the ability to just connect and influence others, manage relationships, build strong networks, and inspire people towards a common mission and purpose. For people to say, I want to follow that leader. I don't have to follow that leader. I get to follow that leader without it being just what you have to do. They do it voluntarily. Those are the teams that they get people inspired and around that common mission, that common vision, and they're able to communicate it and connect with people by making that personal with the ones that they are engaging with. So here are just a few ways that we can increase that social regulation, and be able to create those strong teams, create those strong networks, create those places that people say, I want to be. This is all about having an others focus. Solicit and engage feedback. Oh, I apologize. Solicit feedback and engage. Finding out what input do they have, what would they like to see done, how did they feel that went? When we bring people into a process and we get to understanding what those needs are from them emotionally, we create ownership. We create people who desire to improve and to make that cause and purpose even stronger. So bringing them into the process. See conflict as an opportunity to strengthen relationships and experiences. How many times do we avoid conflict? Probably more than we care to admit. I'm there. I mean, there's times I don't want to do that. It's not, the fun thing. But when you see it through the lens of, I want to do that because I want to add value to that person. I want to see where we are now to be better on the other side. I want to be part of a solution. I want to invest in them. That's when I look at conflict through that lens. We're able to do it in a really respectful manner. Be confident in what you stand for so others want to join your cause. They know their why, they're strong in their why, they don't wave and they don't veer from their why. They know at their core what they're doing. And people join the cause. Learn about them. What are their interests? What are their passions? What's their morning go-to beverage? What do they love to do on the weekends? What are their hobbies? What are their interests? Who are they? How can you connect with them on a personal level? Whoa, starting to get some emotion with that one. All right. Understand and appreciate their communication style. So, I do training in DISC, which is about behaviors and communication. Huge. It's very needed in relationship building, because when we know what someone's communication style is and what their behaviors are, we can better connect with them and doing it in their way and speaking their language. So my husband and I have a joke that I'm the microwave and he's the crock pot. So on a DISC scale, I'm a high ID and my husband is an SC. So for those that may not know, the DISC, ID has a very fast pace about them and the SC has a slower pace about them. So I put something in the microwave for 40 seconds and at 20, I'm pulling on the handle going, is it done yet? Hurry up. I don't have time for this. And my husband cooks us a meal and I say, hey, honey, are we ready to eat? And he's like, well, in about 20 minutes, it needs to simmer. And I'm like, it needs to simmer for 20 minutes? That's really going to add to the flavor. Can we just not eat it now? It does taste better after 20 minutes, but, I would just eat it if it wasn't, for him, if it wasn't because of him encouraging that. So if we understand what their style is and how to best communicate with them, we are going to connect better. We're going to show them we value them. We're going to show them that we respect them, that it's not about us, it's about them. Be an active listener. I truly believe that this is the greatest separator between good and great leaders. People that want to engage, they want to truly listen and they want to understand so that they can come to a solution and they can validate feelings and they can show the person that they genuinely care and they just want to be a part of the process and they want to really listen. Express appreciation, letting people know what you appreciate about them. Giving, that positive feedback and, being specific in what it is that you appreciate. They did something and what did that do for the organization and being detailed about that. Encourage others. This is big. There's some situations where not everyone has their own belief. They can't dig deep in believing in themselves quite yet about whatever. And this happened to me many years ago and I had a leader believe in me. And she's the reason that I'm here doing what I'm doing today. I wouldn't have stepped out and I would have jumped had she not believed in me and put me in positions where I had to jump and I had to figure it out. So are there people that you can believe in and encourage that you truly believe in? I mean, we don't just want to tell somebody that we believe in something that maybe isn't, but really, investing in them and encouraging them in whatever way that is. Operate from a get-to mindset. We need more good contagious today, and a get-to mindset is contagious. So in 2011, I was out for a training run, and it was one of those, I have to check this off my list. And I started to head up this hill, and it looked like the Mamba. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, so no, it wasn't the Mamba. But I was approaching this hill, and I got about halfway up the hill, And my friend Joanne, just like that, came into my mind. Joanne then and Joanne today resides in a wheelchair. And it was at that moment that it was just like, Carmen, get a grip. You get to run today because you have two legs. You get to run today. Get up that hill and do it. So from that time, I had a transformation of mindset that I don't have to do my laundry. I get to do my laundry because I have laundry to do. I don't have to clean my house, but I get to clean my house because I have a home to clean. I don't have to go to that board meeting. I get to go to that board meeting because I want to be a part of the purpose and the mission and moving it forward. I don't have to have that difficult conversation. I get to have that difficult conversation because I value them and I want this situation to come out better than where we are right now. So if we can flip the switch from have to get to, I can guarantee we're going to create stronger teams. We're going to have people that want to follow and they want to be an active participant in what we're doing. Whew. Sorry, that just got just a little bit emotional there. So we're landing the plane and we're landing it here. I've got one more slide, but I want to just show you how emotional intelligence is measured, and it's measured through an assessment. And this is a picture of my assessment in 2016 of the results and in 2019. And I will tell you that I have really started talking more about emotional intelligence even since this last measurement was taken. That I was doing a lot more DISC before that time. And so I'm anxious to take it again because I'm certain that my score will have increased. 6.6% increase. Statistics show that for every point you increase in your EQ, your compensation can increase $1,300. That's almost $8,600 increase. Is that exciting? It is. But what's more exciting is that only follows relationship, because when our emotional intelligence is high, our relationships follow. And it's the strength of the relationships that make us, that allow us to have that extra piece of maybe whatever that compensation might be. But my relationships today are stronger than they were when I started on this emotional intelligence journey. So I just want to encourage you with this today, but it's a personal subject. It's a subject that everyone has areas to improve. No one comes out of an assessment with not an area to improve. So you really have to say, I want to grow in that area. So as we land, I want to say thank you for your time today to just understand a little bit more about this topic of emotional intelligence and seeing what it looks like when we have those, the highs and the lows and how do we manage. And if you are ready to say, I want to know more about emotional intelligence, I want to take a deeper dive, I want to grow my personal, my professional journey, I want to create my best self, I encourage you to go to my website and sign up for a complimentary webinar a week from today. And it's at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I apologize. It is at noon Central Standard Time on the 14th. The information's on my website. But I'll take you through a personal growth and development journey that if you commit to at the end, I can guarantee you that your relationships will be stronger, you'll have more connection with individuals, you'll have more opportunities personally and professionally, and that truly you can create your best self. So thank you again for joining today. My email address is on the screen, and so if you want to, reach out to me with any questions that you have, feel free to do that. I would love to be of any kind of assistance that I can. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much for that terrific presentation. In these times we're going through, emotional intelligence is more important than ever. I read an article the other day about how during this time period, domestic calls from the police department are way up, and I think if everybody had a higher level of emotional intelligence, that certainly wouldn't happen. So thank you so much for your message. Very timely and well delivered. Also, while I'm giving thank yous, I want to thank Kat Leverett and Brooke Lenhoff with the Focus Suites. They have done a great job during these times of keeping our programs up and running. Even though we're not on site and we're working remotely, we are still working with small business owners and providing assistance, and Kat and Brooke have done a wonderful job. And now it's time for our coffee mug contest. So everybody, hoist those coffee mugs. Carmen is going to be the judge today, so I'm staying out of it. So Carmen, if you can scroll through the participants and let me know who the winner is.
Okay, this is, all right. I'm seeing,
Everybody
thank you,
hoist them
Tim.
up there.
See Tim's. All right, see Doug. Oh, and there's John, okay. Oh, I like Nikki's. Okay, there's a lot of good ones here. Oh, and then I don't, okay. Okay, goodness. Well, my vote today is going to be Nikki. So, and pull shoulders up again, please, Nikki, so that I can see. Yeah, and everybody can see, sorry. So make today amazing. You know, that's mindset, right? How we believe our day's gonna start is how it will. So what we focus on is what we find. Thank you.
Oh,
All
Carmen,
right.
I thought for sure you would love mine.
Okay, am I missing something? Maybe I missed. Okay,
Look at it.
okay, I will. I must be missing. I'm not seeing, so I apologize. Oh, goodness, Amy. Yes, I have mine too. I get to. Hey, thank you for bringing that mug to coffee today. I get to. Yeah, thank you. I didn't see that. I apologize, Amy.
Okay, we've got time for just a couple of questions. Does anybody have any questions for Carmen? And I have unmuted everybody, so if you want to just shout your question out or put it in the chat, we'll make sure we get to it. Anybody?
There's a question out there. I know.
Hey, Carmen, it's Tim.
Yeah, hi, Tim.
So, in all of this training for and working, how are you? How are you? In all of this training, entrepreneurs tend to be sometimes focused in a way that is almost 100% on profit or money or something of that nature. How do you get them to switch over to the thoughtfulness that goes behind making the decisions like this?
Oh gosh, that is a great question, Tim. And so what I hear you saying, to make sure I've got the question correct, is that oftentimes entrepreneurs have that bottom line kind of focus, the profit focus, and don't always see the relationship piece. Kind of that purpose over profit is how I like to see that, or to say that, and how to kind of get them to shift that focus. You know, certainly that's something that they themselves have to be able to see and understand what that value is in that shift. But just helping to understand, you know, where are those profits coming from? And, you know, just that entrepreneur, for example, you know, how do they like to connect with others in relationship? Is it important to them that others understand, you know, who they are for more than just that business owner, and being able to make that relationship personal, and you know, being able to model that? But it is hard because so many times we want to measure success by metrics, and we need to have metrics to measure, absolutely. But I always say, you know, think of how much more we could have, not just financially, understand that, but how much more could things be opened up if we saw it from more than just the monetary gain? Because I guess another way that would help them understand that is, if we're only measuring by metrics and we're not engaging them in the process and getting the feedback, knowing who they are, you know, how can we deliver a good solution to them? If we really want to show them a good solution, we really have to understand them. And it's not just telling them what we can do, it's understanding what those needs are, but being able to help them understand that they are our gauge for feedback. You know, I wrote a book several years ago, and in that book, I put in there about, you know, how many times could we maybe have 3 strikes on us? We think someone's really, you know, they're loving us, and we're, you know, they're a loyal advocate, and all of a sudden they're no longer a part of our or a part of our, they're not a partner, because we didn't engage with them through the process, and we lost them because we didn't ask their feedback, and we got the 3rd strike. So it's a really, you know, there's not a finite way to answer that, but I think helping them to see that the more that you build relationship with people, the more trust that you get with people, because if you win on price, you're going to just as easily lose on price. Relationships value, and that's where it sticks. So I don't know, Tim, if that helped, but
I don't.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. Is there one more question out there?
Nikki, I know a lot of our entrepreneurs, especially, or Carmen, excuse me. I know a lot of them, especially business owners that are more introverted, they know that they need to network to grow their business. They know that they need to build these relationships. What's a tip that you would have for someone that feels emotionally weary in connecting, but still knows that they need to do that social engagement?
That's a great question, Kat. And Tim, I meant to say too, yeah, that was a great question. I think that for someone, so that whole self-awareness piece is where everything starts. And so if they understand for them that that's an area of opportunity where they know that it's something they need to do, but they're not comfortable in doing that, I think that, you know, having a mentor in their life, having someone that can help slowly make some of maybe those introductions with them, kind of come alongside them with whether that's a social opportunity that they have, and just kind of, you know, be that mentor, that partner, and coming alongside them and not letting them experience those times alone until they kind of get more comfortable with that. And then at some point, you know, we all say that our biggest opportunity is where we need to hire. And so at some point, maybe that's finding that right person to fill that piece. So that's a good question.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, we have run out of time. Again, I want to thank Carmen for her time today. Please check out her website. She's got a very nice website, and she did a terrific job today, which we very much appreciate. Her presentation will be on our YouTube channel later today, so if you want to watch it again or refer somebody else to it so that they can watch it, send them to our YouTube channel. We have all of our past coffee presentations out there on YouTube. And please join us next week for Brett Stowe's with the UNL Weibling Entrepreneurship Clinic. They have been a wonderful resource for small business owners and entrepreneurs in the Lincoln area, providing legal advice for a number of years. So join us next week for Brett Stowe's. Stay well, everybody, and thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Get To day. Good day.
Thanks, Carmen. Great job.